I am here. It's not a Thursday. He's not with you. He's here in studio with me.
Yes, I am.
On a Tuesday. Hey, thank you so much for joining us today
live.
Thank
you. This is awesome. I love coming out of Marshfield. And first of all, before we start, I want to congratulate you on your recent anniversary, your commitment to WATD, and really providing exceptional professional services. Thank you, Christine.
Oh, thank you very much for pointing that. Like I said, we fooled him again. Kept Ed Perry at bay for 35 years. But thank you so much. You know what? It's every day is an adventure, and it's always different. It's always interesting and exciting. I get to talk to lots of different kinds of people, especially like His Honor here, the Mayor of Brockton. You were really good. You got elected. Talk about timing. Right before, how many weeks before the pandemic?
It was 6 weeks before the pandemic. Yeah, I was sworn in January 6th of 2020.
Okay, and you are not running for re-election. There are two other candidates.
That's
We're going to do a forum here actually at the end of this month on the 28th. But I'd like to talk a little bit about your time in office because you've had a lot of challenges. You've had a lot of highs, a lot of lows. It's the biggest community that's within our coverage area. So 6 years in office, but you were a city councilman before that.
14 years, yeah. So this January will be 20 years of public service to the city of Brockton. For a kid that grew up in the city and married a girl that grew up in the city of Brockton, it's been awesome. It really has. But, time tends to go by relatively quickly. So when I was elected and sworn in 2005, we didn't have any children. I was newly married. And, 20 years later, we just brought our oldest to college. And, it's time to kind of pass the torch, for lack of a better word, to another generation of dedicated Brocktonians. But it's been a whirlwind. It really has. City council at large for 14 years. 5 of those years I was the council president, and then this January will be 6 years as mayor of the city of Champion. So it's been a really unbelievable, fulfilling honor.
What about some of the highlights? I know some. What do you think some of the highlights were? I know there's always something going on. Sometimes Brockton gets a bad rap. There can be a crime issue, but there's so many positive things and institutions in the city. Tell me some of the highlights.
Yeah, first of all, we're 106,000 residents, right? It's always been a diverse, inclusive, welcoming city. It always has, right? And that's what makes Brockton so special. We're the only city in Plymouth County. My own grandparents came from Ireland to work in the shoe factories. My wife's from Italy to do the same thing. And right now, it's just a different wave of people traveling around the world and calling Brockton home, and that's what makes it such a special community. I've said this many times. If you look at our financial ledger, we're not a wealthy community, but our wealth and our value are the people. And so to have been able to work every day at City Hall, 45 School Street, to try to make a difference, again, the first thing we tried to do was save lives during the pandemic, and unfortunately we lost 549 people to the pandemic, second highest in the Commonwealth to Chelsea. But it would have been a lot higher, unfortunately, and thankfully we were able to minimize that because we worked together. We have 2 dedicated hospitals in the city of Brockton, the third being the VA. We have Neighborhood Health Center. And so, working together. My whole mantra, Christine, has been, we're better together. We have to work together. Relationship building, people building. We're in the people business. And so I did that on the city council. I've done it as mayor. We had to deal with the brutal murder of George Floyd, and we had a terrible night in the city of Brockton. We had a race riot, and Dunkin' Donuts was burned.
We were there. We
covered
it.
Yeah, you were. And then, the next day was the Brockton that I know. People were in the streets cleaning up the debris, and we had 11 alarm of fire at the Brockton Hospital, right? Which was the highest in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. No one was injured, thanks to the leadership of Brian Nardelli, the police chief. So, the highs have been, working with the federal delegation. We have Congressman Lynch and Senators Markey and Warren getting a lot of the ARPA money, utilizing the ARPA money in a beneficial legacy way. Some mayors used it to fill budget or to hire people. I thought that was short-sighted. So we were able to put, $7 million into the Council on Aging Senior Center, $4 million into the War Memorial, $14 million into the City Hall, built in 1892, $2 million to 43 different organizations in the city of Brockton, a couple $1 million on all the parks and playgrounds around the city. But really what I'm proud about is we didn't pause construction like many mayors did during the pandemic. I knew we couldn't do that. We'd be 10 years in the wrong direction. So leveraging transit-oriented development, having the 3 commuter stops in the city of Brockton is a game changer. Jump on the train, get into South Station 35 minutes, or if you have a vehicle, you can get to Providence, Rhode Island about the same time. So, working with developers, working with the state. I first was working with Charlie Baker and Karen Polito, the governor, lieutenant governor, and now it's, the Healy Driscoll administration has been phenomenal. And, it's all about trying to figure out what the next next step is for Brockton. And it's marketing Brockton, because really it's a $500 million business known as the City of Brockton, right? Our budget is $500 million a year. So, we've had a lot of highs, we've had a lot of lows, but working together and forging ahead, I think, has brought Brockton up to the next level. And I know that to be a fact because we have professional baseball there. We have 3 Starbucks there. We have a Chick-fil-A there. We have Massasoit Community Conference Center College there. And so really, what I am most proud about as being a kid from Brockton is that Brockton can change people's lives for the better.
And I know that you got your grand opening, this Thursday, the new public safety building.
Yeah, I'm so excited about that. So, and I actually just got a text from former Mayor Jack Unitz, who congratulated the city, and he said he tried to do it 20 plus years ago, and it's a city block, so it goes from Highland Street all the way to West Elm Street. It's where the old Brockton High was, and what we did was we were able to salvage a lot of the architectural integrity of the existing building, right, that we took, and instead of razzing it, we're actually putting it in a peace garden. So you're going to see some of the mosaics that were there and some of the architecture was there, but it's a $150 million public safety building. $98 million of it we borrowed at 2.5%. I mean, that's amazing over the term. You're saving millions. And it's one state-of-the-art building for 4 departments. So it's police and fire. The fire department's leaving the Central on Pleasant Street, which was actually wired by Thomas Edison, and it was for fire apparatus.
He was on call for a long time.
Yeah, but it was for fire apparatus for horse-drawn carriages. So think about that, and then the police department's going to close and move over there. We're going to be able to sell that building, abutting it. IT is going to leave Brockton High, which is freeing up 5 classroom spaces for the boys and girls at Brockton High, which is still the largest public high school east of the Mississippi. So, and then BEMA will come over there, Brockton Emergency Management from the War Memorial. So if anybody wants to come see it, it is 11 a.m. this Thursday. Congressman Lynch will be there, and it's just going to be a phenomenal historic day in the City of Champions.
Speaking of the schools, there was a number of times we spent on stories about issues about the school budget shortfalls, some finger pointing, some investigations, some audits. That was a tough time, I think, for a lot of people in Brockton. How about you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as the mayor and as chair of the school committee, it was an extremely difficult time. But as the mayor, I decided that the right thing to do is to do an audit and to hire an external law firm to do an analysis. And then I let the city solicitor run with it, and I participated in it, and findings came out. And I think there's a lot of learning lessons. There has to be more checks and balances. And I will say that everything is in place right now. There are no deficits right now, thank God. We are moving ahead. Our bond rating just got improved. It went up, which, again, if the bond rating agencies are bringing you back up, Brockton's on the right path. So, I'm excited for the future of Brockton. People keep saying you're going to retire. I'm 55. I'm not retiring. I have 3 children and 3 tuitions down the road. So I have to figure out what the next step is. But I can tell you that I'm a Brocktonian, and we're not moving out of the city. We're engaged in the community. Before I got elected mayor, I used to coach basketball and baseball and soccer, and I'm going to be able to do some of those things again. So I'm excited about that.
Is there anything during your time in office that you wish you could have done differently or changed or do over?
Again, I mean, you can't turn back time, and a lot of people said, well, you had bad luck with a lot of different things and a lot of sleepless nights and more gray hair, and you've definitely gained weight, and all those things.
And those are
true.
your friends, right?
Yeah, those are my buddies. But I'm very fortunate. I have a loving wife, a supportive family. I have my in-laws. My mom and dad are still in Brockton. So would I do anything different? I can't say that I would do anything different. I think the learning lessons have helped us succeed. And, one thing that I've always said, I tell a story about my daughter during the height of the pandemic. Grace, my daughter, said to me during a trying time when I knew I had to go back to City Hall, and I knew at 4 o'clock I got the death count. People called me every day at 4 to tell me the Board of Health, who we lost. And one day my daughter said, when you go to work tomorrow, Dad, be the kangaroo. And I couldn't figure out what that meant. And I said, honey, what does that mean? And she said, kangaroos physically cannot jump back because of their tail. They can only jump ahead, jump ahead, jump ahead. So you have to be the kangaroo.
I didn't know that.
Keep moving ahead, keep moving ahead, keep moving ahead. And, when I do the Cardinal Spellman graduation, a Southeastern Regional Vocational, with 65% of the kids are from Brockton, or Brockton High, a New Heights Charter School, I tell the next generation, I tell that story to the kids because, everybody as a human being is going to get knocked down. We're going to have trying times, challenging times. But if you keep getting up and moving forward, sky's the limit.
That's a great story. How old was your daughter when she told you
11.
that?
11.
She sounds like a brilliant young woman.
I love that. After my wife.
There you go. A good plug on there. Is there anything with everything that happened that you especially enjoyed? Was there one particular moment? Was there one event? Did you ever have one of those, I don't want to sound like Oprah, one of those aha moments, but you were sitting there thinking, I'm in the right place and this is fantastic. Sometimes that can be an everyday moment.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell an example. There's so many different moments, but one moment was with the ARPA money, I knew I wanted to, like I say, use the American Rescue money. And I want to thank Plymouth County and Treasurer O'Brien and the county commissioners, because Brockton got a tranche directly from the feds, but also got $17.5 million from Plymouth County, thanks to those dedicated public servants. But I knew I wanted to renovate. It's called the Cosgrove Pool. It's the East Side Pool. I used to lifeguard there in the 80s. It had not had any money invested in it in decades, named after the first Brocktonian killed in World War II. So I committed $3 million, and then I was told by the architects and the pool specialist, no, you need $6 million. So I jumped on a plane. I went to Washington, D.C., and I met with Congressman Lynch, and I asked him if I could get $3 million more for the pool. He learned how to swim in a municipal pool in Southie, so I had his support. Went to see Ed Markey, Senator, I need $3 million. I learned how to swim in a municipal pool in Malden.
Okay.
Senator Warren was with me. We got the extra $3 million under Joe Biden, the omnibus bill. So because of that relationship building and jumping on a plane, we have a $6 million pool on the east side for many Brocktonians. That's the beach. They can't go to Cape Cod. They don't have the means to get to Hull and Nantasket. So, it's about politics. Tip O'Neill said all politics is local, and he wasn't lying. He knew that, because it's about working, listening, learning, good times, bad times, and continuing to do the right reasons. Follow the moral compass that you grew up with, and you can do some good things. You can't make everybody happy, right? That's politics. But you can look in the mirror and feel good about yourself.
Absolutely. I imagine in your job, like a lot of people in public life, you're going to tick some people off every day.
Yeah, I mean, I think
some more than others.
I think that's just natural, and I think right now there's a lot of discontentment. Hopefully it's isolated discontentment, but there's a lot of people angry and the shenanigans. I mean, we have the federal government shut down right now, so there's a lot of shenanigans. And I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent. As a mayor, I'm elected by the nonpartisan. And so, you can't make everybody happy. But I always say this, listen, we wouldn't be where we are right now without the sacrifice of our veterans and the dedication of our seniors. So I always pay special attention to those two groups. And also understanding that Brockton is so diverse. So working with all the different organizations, Cape Verdean Association, Latin Women's Association, Angolan Association, NAACP, Haitian Community Partners, you have to work together. And, people have said to me, you're going to move out of Brockton. I'm not moving out of Brockton. Brockton is home.
That was my next question.
Yeah, no,
what
Brockton
are
is home.
Are you going to take any time off?
I'm not. No. It
doesn't seem like you had any time off.
No, I don't want to have any time off. And, we've been able to, as a family, spend a little time this summer because I wasn't campaigning, which was great. But really, you know what? My kids don't care that I'm mayor of the city of Brockton. That's a job, right? They just want me to be a dad and be a good husband to my wife and be a good son to my parents and a son-in-law. And so no, I mean, I'm looking for a job, actively looking for a job. But I have my MBA degree from Boston College, my undergrad from BC. I have my law degree from New England School of Law. 6 years as the CEO of the city of Brockton.
So you're double eagle.
I am a double. I'm not a triple eagle. I am not. I went to Brockton High, a proud graduate, proud Brockton Boxer, class of '88. But Christine, I just want to thank you. I want to thank Dan. I want to thank Kevin Tachi. I mean, everybody here at WATD that has allowed me to talk about Brockton, on a regular basis. All the candidate forums that you did were game changers, not for just the elected officials and those that didn't prevail, but for the residents to educate and inform them. And that's why I got in the car today and drove down here. I was so excited to come down here.
I appreciate it. Thank you again. We're like I said, we're doing our jobs, and we're glad that you understand the importance of that. Why don't you tell our listeners something they may not know about you, like some fun hobby that you do, or the last book you read, something personal that they might not know about you?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you that, I'm a very religious person. People don't know that about me. I'm a practicing Catholic, but I created a prayer session with all the pastors, and we do a session before work every other Friday morning, and it's all non-denominational, and come together and we pray for the community and pray for certain people. When I was married, we went to Italy, had an audience with the Pope, which was Pope John Paul, which was phenomenal. But really, one thing that I try to do is I love to fish with my boys, and my daughter doesn't love it as much, so try to spend a lot of time with my family. Want to do more traveling, but one thing people probably don't know about me is I'm a dual citizen. I'm an American citizen and I'm an Irish citizen, so I'm proud of my heritage through my grandparents. And really, at the end of the day, I'm just Bob from Brockton. I'm a guy that was fortunate enough to try to give back to the community. did it the old-fashioned way, knocking on doors, talking to people. As you and I said, it's face-to-face. And, you know, I don't think the role of mayor is a lifetime job. It should not be. So you do it. You try to do it to the best of your capabilities, working with other people. And then it's time to move on. And whoever wins, I'll support. I know both people running, and thank you for doing a forum. I've served with both of those individuals on the city council. And I just hope whoever gets elected continues to run that train down the track, because we are moving in such a great direction right now with investment and tax base.
Absolutely.
And I'm excited about that.
No, it's something that you didn't tell our listeners, but I'm going to tell them. You recently won a very big award, and you were a contender with some big names in the Boston area, including, I think, Senator Markey, Bob Kraft, Visionary Leader of the Year Award. Okay, don't hold back. You're allowed to do this. Tell our listeners a little bit about why this is such a big deal.
Well,
don't be modest.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, I was nominated for Visionary Leader of the Year and also Mayor of the Year, and it's the Northeast Renewable Energy Coalition. And last week was Energy Week in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And so what I thought was so exciting is that I was able to, as mayor, I chair the BAT Bus Corporation, Brockton Area Transit. So we have currently 5 electric buses on the road, another 7 being built. 2 of them are going to be 40-footers. We have the first electric, as you know, the Brightfield on Grove Street in the Commonwealth, there's history. We also have the first green elementary school in the Commonwealth with the Mary Baker School. So, you know, a lot of EV charging stations in the queue. And so they wanted to come and interview me as a nominee. And then we did bus tours, 2 different bus tours for 2.5 hours around the city. And then last week they had a wonderful gala last Friday. I was fortunate enough to go into South Boston with Mayor Garcia from Holyoke and Mayor Sean Reardon from Newburyport and answer some questions. And then, Friday night, to my amazement and shock, I prevailed. I won. I was with my wife and my mom and dad, and it was at the Liberty Hotel. And I'm just thankful. Listen, I mean, it has my name on it, but really it was a collaborative effort.
That's a big deal. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. No, thank
is.
you. And really, you know, it's. I'm not trying to be modest. I'm just trying to say, like, that's an award that goes to the city of Brockton because of all the things we've done in the last almost 6 years. And again, we're going to continue to do that. I said that to a developer the other day. He said, listen, you're leaving. What are we going to do? And I was like, I might be leaving the role of mayor, but I'll be a former mayor. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a resident of Brockton. So anything I can do to help facilitate, let's keep going. You know, we want it to flourish.
So, of course, you know, Bob from Brockton, of course, Mayor Robert Sullivan of Brockton. Your advice for the next person who takes the seat?
Do it for the right reasons. And, you know, one thing that I've always said is I've surrounded myself with great people in the office, and it reflects Brockton. Some mayors fire everybody when they come in. I didn't do that. Mayor Carpenter passed away. Acting Mayor Rodriguez was there. I interviewed all of Bill Carpenter's people that were there. I kept some moved on, and I have a great mix. And I have to give a shout out to my chief of staff, Sydney Marrow. She didn't have government experience. She had been in higher education at Bridgewater State and Boston College, and she's a game changer. She is a phenomenal colleague and partner, and it's a team effort. And so what I would say to the next person coming into the office at 45 School Street is, every day go in there with a feeling of optimism, make it fun, make it engaging, and leverage relationships. And always pick up the phone and call people and set up face-to-face meetings. And one thing is, when someone comes in the mayor's office, you drop everything, because whatever is on that person's mind is the most important thing. And it might be to you something small like a pothole, or it could be something extremely serious. But at the end of the day, we're in the people business, and we need to always remember that.
Some great advice. Again, this is Mayor Robert Sullivan of the City of Brockton, not running for re-election, but just talking a little bit about some of the highlights of his 6 years in office. We're going to put this interview up online as well, and maybe during the next round of elections you can come and be one of our commentators.
I'd love to do that. Thank you.
That would be great. Again, we're going to pop this up online. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Christine.
Bob from Brockton.
Thank you very much. It's been an honor. Thank you.
I appreciate all the time and effort you've spent in the city, and the time you always were available to us, even when the questions were kind of hairy, and we really appreciate that.
Thank
and
you
again,
so much.
Mayor Robert Sullivan, I'm Christine James, 95.9 WATD, 59 WATD, 59 WATD.